welcome you in this session once again. In this session, we are going to look at the flower. We know that a flower is one of the vegetative part of the plant, and we mainly find the flowers situated in the shoot system of the plant. A flower, we are going to look at different things or different parts. We shall first of all look at the structure of the flower. We shall look at the functions of the different parts of the flower. A flower is a reproductive part of the plant, and it consists of the female part and also the male part, but some flowers have only the female part and other flowers have only the male part. Those ones we shall discuss them with time. But what we know first of all about the flower is that the floral leaves are arranged in rings, or what we call as a whorl, and a flower is made up of sepals. Sepals form what we call the calyx. It's made up of petals. Petals are the ones that form the corolla, and it's made up of stamens. Stamens are the ones that form the androecium, and we know that the androecium is the male part of the flower. And then we have the carpels. Carpels, those ones form the gynoecium. Gynoecium, this is the female part of the flower. And you find that the sepals, which form the calyx, and the petals that form the corolla, if we have a combination of the sepal and the petals, then that one is what we refer to as a perianth. If we were thinking or you're talking about a perianth, it means that you're talking about the sepals and the petals. Now you find that we have said that some of the parts of the flowers are the stamen and the carpel. The stamen is the female part of the flower, which we have referred to as the androecium, and it consists of the anthers and the filaments. Whereas the carpels include the stigma, we have the style, and the ovary. That is the female part of the flower. The carpels that we call the gynoecium. Now, if we look at the structure of the general structure of the leaf, or I mean of the flower, you'll find that the flower is connected to the stem by a stalk that we call the pedicel, and the place where the ovary attaches to the stalk or the pedicel is what we call the receptacle. Then from the receptacle we go to the sepals. From the sepals we go to the petals, and then inside we have now the ovary, we have the style, and then we have the stigma. Then we can also have the filament and the anthers. That is the general structure. Now, after seeing the general structure of the structure of the leaf consists of the calyx, which we have said that they are sepals. It consists of the corolla, which consists of the petals. It consists of the androecium, that is the stamen, which includes the filaments and anthers. We have looked at, we have seen the gynoecium, which is the female part of the flower, which we call the carpel, and this one has the stigma, it has the style, and it has the ovary. And we now want to look and the different parts, all the different parts that we have mentioned above. We shall see what they are composed of, and some of them we shall look also at the functions. Now, when we come to the different parts of the flowers, we find that we have what we call the calyx. The calyx, we say that this one is mainly composed of the sepals. You find that the calyx is the one that protects the inner flower part during the bud period. At the stage when the flower is still young, or it is still in a bud stage, it is the sepals or the calyx that protects the flower. And you find that if the colors of the sepals are the same as the colors of the petals, then we call those sepals as the petaloid. We refer to them as the petaloid. And you'll find that the floral whole outside the calyx, for example, we have the calyx, which is made up of the sepals. But you'll find that in flowers like the hibiscus, there is a second floral hole that is outside the calyx, something that would say that it is another form of sepals, but they are not sepals. Now those ones are what we call the epicalyx. It is a floral hole which is outside of the calyx. It's what we refer to as an epicalyx. It is like a calyx, another calyx connected to another calyx, and then inside the calyx we have the petals. So we have the petals, then we have the calyx covering the petals. But if you find there is another covering on the sepals or the calyx, that one is what we are referring to as the epicalyx, and it is mainly found in the hibiscus flowers. We have now another part, which is the corolla. Corolla, we have said that it is composed of it consists of the petals, and the corollas and the petals, they are known for the production of scent. They produce scent, and also they attract pollinators or insects. That scent which is produced is the one that attracts the insects, and most of the insects are the pollinator. And you'll find that on the flower, if you're looking at a flower, the most conspicuous part of the flower is the petal or the corolla. The corolla part is the most conspicuous part of the flower, and you will find that the petals can be fused, like they fuse all of them together, and it is just one. And that one, we can give an example of the flower of the sweet potato. And then you may find that the petals are free, the petals are not connected, and that one we can give an example of the hibiscus flower. And then we have the male part of the flower, which we refer to as the androecium, and we say that this one includes the anthers and filament, and these are the male organs of the flower, and they are inside the corolla, and they produce the pollen grain. They are responsible for the production of the pollen grain. Then we have the female part of the flower, which we call the gynoecium, or sometimes we may call it the pistil. And this is the female part of the flower, and it includes the style, it includes the stigma and the ovary, and they may be made of one or more couples. And then we also So we have seen that we have the anthers. The anthers are used for production and storage of pollen grain. We have the filament. The filament is also part of the male part of the flower, and its major work is to support and suspend the anthers for easy access by the pollinating agents. That is the responsibility of the filament, to hold the anthers in a position whereby they can easily be accessed by the pollinating agents, which are the insects or wind. And then we have the stigma. At the stigma, this is where the pollen grain germinates, and it's where it lands before fertilization. We have the style. The style suspends the stigma for easy access by the pollen and the pollinating agents. That is the style. And then we have the ovary. The ovary contains the ovules, and fertilization takes place in the ovary. Then we have the receptor. The receptor is a structure which is the floral part, where the floral part are born. Its receptacle is just a structure where the floral part are born, where we have the sepals, where we have the petals coming from. The ovary may also come from the receptor. It is in fact the general structure in which the floral parts are born. Then we have the pedicel, and the pedicel, this is the attachment of the flower to the stem. It's the one that connects the flower to the stem, and it is responsible also for the transportation of water and food to the flower. So we have looked at the different parts of the flower, and we have seen their major functions and what they are made of. We looked at the calyx, which we say that it is made up of sepals, and during the early stages, in the bud stages, when the flower is still in the bud stage, it is the calyx that protects the flower. And when we say that when it has colors that resemble the petal, we call it the petaloid. We saw the corolla, which are the petals, and we say that they are the most conspicuous part of the flower. They produce scent, and then they also attract the pollinating agents. We have looked at we have seen the androecium, which is the male part of the flower, that consists of the anthers and filaments, which are the male organs of the flower, and they are inside the corolla. We saw the gynoecium, which is the pistil and the female part of the flower, that contains the ovule, and it's made up of one or more couple. We looked at the anthers, we looked at the filaments, stigma, ovary, and receptacle, and the pedicels. So next time when we come back, we shall look at the terms that are used to describe the flower. Thank you for being with us. Please don't go